What is the genesis of playing and winning the game you're built for?
Oh, well, it seems I've been playing games all my life. I didn't recognize it until this whole thing started to come out and through me, but I played a lot of games, intellectual games, like, crossword puzzles and stuff like that, chess. But I also played physical games like football and softball and wrestling and basketball, whatever it was. I had a lot of time to myself as a kid, so there was a lot of like playing a lot of amusing myself games. And one game, though, in particular, which really, I think, accentuates uh, the, the principle that seems to have been born out of me. And it was that when I was a kid, probably 8, 10 years old, somewhere around there, we were, I was raised in a boarding house, living in rural northern western New Jersey. And my mom was a single mom, and so I had to help with, how the boarding house functioned. One of my jobs, my chore, was to shovel coal into the furnace every night, especially in the winter. And it wasn't so much to shovel it directly into the furnace as there was this enormous thing called a hopper. And it had these little cars that would it would feed down into the coal into the car, and then it would truck itself into the furnace, and then it would fill the fire from underneath, but at a consistent basis, so it wasn't like it get hot and cold, it would be an even temperature all the time. So my job was to fill that hopper every night, and the hopper was huge. And the shovel that I had to use was huge. And so every night I made a game of it. And it was, the game changed. How many shovels less could I fill the hopper with, which meant I had to take more um, coal into the shovel, or what were the different ways I could get this thing up to my shoulder to tip it over because the hopper was above my head. And that gave me kind of grounding in the approach to even a difficult task, a chore. By making it a game, it became easier. In the same way that even marathon runners, some marathon, not necessarily the professional ones, but some, your sort of average Joe amateur runner will say, well, I'm going to run to that post. And then I'll run to that, and they'll just keep looking at the next little piece, and they make a game of it that keeps them going. And so it came upon me that it didn't matter what the project was, what the chore, what the challenge was, that if I approached it like a game, I'd have a much better time with it, and my creativity would come in to augment my experience.
What would you say your philosophy is about the game?
Uh, well, without getting too far out there, um, we're at a point in history when there's a kind of convergence happening between consciousness and quantum physics, informing us that this is all a kind of expression of energy in the world, that everything is energy, and the only reason we can't see it in that form is that we're not equipped with electron microscopes, we're equipped with eyes. So we don't see it as the energy pattern that we're in. But even without that aspect, um, when you go back to it culturally, you go back to Og the caveman. Somewhere along the line, before everything became structured, here was this guy who was busy just trying to not be eaten. And the essence of a game is that it's all made up, which when you think about it, everything in our world is made up. At one point, there wasn't marriage. At one point, there wasn't a corporation. At one point, there wasn't business. There weren't kingdoms. There weren't, all of these things got made up as we evolved and kind of interacted with each other. And then, as part of the making up of it, we started to assign rules and how it was played and what winning and losing was like and all that sort of stuff. So the philosophy of the game is that actually this is all one big game, and the unfortunate part of it is that we forget that it's all made up, which means we can change the rules. Kind of like the way Amazon changed the rules about book selling, and they changed the game of it, from having to be in a brick and mortar kind of warehouse and retail outlet to an online internet piece. And the interesting thing about it is that every time we change the rules, as you look at the notion of progress, every innovation over the course of history, over the entire course of time, has come from somebody, somewhere, breaking a rule about how it could be done, about how it should be done, wanting an easier way, a faster way, etc. And so the philosophy of the game is imbued with the spirit of it all being made up, which means then that I can make up how my life goes. I can get clearer about it. I can make up what winning is according to me. I can find out rules that support my living in life. I can play with players I choose to play with instead of players that have been assigned to me, so to speak, just by being born into a default game. And I think that that gives you a kind of freedom, and it allows you to start to live, not just live from, but to recognize and live from the, what I call the snowflake quality of your life, which is each one of us is absolutely unique. Over the entire course of history, everything that ever was, everyone that ever will be, and ever is now, is a one of a kind. Which means there are games that are absolutely uniquely suited to me or to you. And if we can either find them, invent them, modify existing ones, or create them, then we're going to have a much better time playing a game that fits us like our skin and is easy to do as breathing than we will subjecting ourselves to somebody else's rules with players we didn't pick and winning we didn't define and wondering why we're not experiencing winning on a regular basis.
I want to put you on the hot seat. Are you
Okay?
saying that you play your life as a game and play it masterfully all the time?
Oh, no. Not that I don't attempt to play it as a game. I do. And more often than not. And actually for the last decade, I've had a higher percentage of time when I have that kind of game frame and reference to things. No, I'm still in the process of having a more masterful experience where it flows even more every day, where it's magical. But I have to tell you that my life is, in many ways, extraordinarily easy. And I think it's not so much that I now consciously set them all up as a game. It's almost like the lens that I used to view life through mechanically, trying to see it as a game, has now become my frame of reference. So it kind of kicks in odd moments. You know, all of a sudden something I'm struggling with, and I start to find a way to play with it, like exercise and losing weight at one point. I would go to the gym, and because I like double chocolate chip cookies, um, and I found out how much these particular cookies at Subway, how much their calories were. And so I would signal to my wife whether or not it was a 2 cookie or a 3 cookie or a 4 cookie workout, which meant I'd been burned enough to eat that many calories of cookies without it overloading my caloric load for the day. And many days, since I had assigned that I was a 2 cookie a day person, I would burn 4 calories and be 2 cookies ahead, which meant I was losing weight. So even that became a game and not a drudge of being on a Stairmaster treadmill or an ellipse thing where I'm wondering whether I'm coming or going. So, do I do it all the time? No. Is it happening more frequently? Yes. And I guess most importantly, I'm playing with things that are really suited for me. So basically, I'm playing in games that I'm built for. I'm no longer playing games that I'm not. And because of that alone, I'm having a much better life experience. And for me, that's not only success, it's fulfillment.